one book. If the young people came to you and said, Bob Carlito, man, what's the book we need to read more than anything? If we could read another book, what should we read right now? What would it be?
Now you're twisting my arm here because I have to shoot. I have to shoot off the hip and say the Communist Manifesto
Mm,
by Karl
interesting.
Marx.
And why that one, Baba?
It it strips down. It removes the dirty underwear of this system that we live under right now. And it in the critique that Karl Marx presented of the capitalist system is something that's applicable in all experiences. All experiences. Puerto Rico would not have been invaded if it wasn't because of the avarice that exists and produced by the capitalist system. Chattel slavery, which provided capitalism its initial capital, it was because of that system why our black brothers and sisters were kidnapped from Africa. That's why Wall Street exists today. Okay, because of capitalism. I am a Marxist, and I should mention that it was mandatory study in the Black Panther Party and in the Young Lords. Although historical revisionism would say otherwise, we studied Marxist literature, and the Communist Manifesto was one of them. I mean, we studied many things. We studied Frantz Fanon. That was also sacred to us. That dealt more with the psychological and emotional effects on our people due to this system. We studied the speeches of Fidel Castro, Che Guevara. We studied the Marcus Garvey. Okay, I mean, we studied so many things. Malcolm X. But these speakers, they spoke on one or another specific area, condemning the system. But my suggestion of the Communist Manifesto, you have to look at what time, what junction in history it was written, and it was a time when the rulers thought that they were not going to receive resistance from the class that they were exploiting. And the Communist Manifesto entered Europe, the European, intellectual, institutions. And it was like a major slap in the face for the rulers, a major slap in the face. It was one of the key reasons why Marx kept being banned from country to country, because they despised them for writing that book. And I should mention that it's perhaps read as much as The Art of War, as much as the Bible in history, of all historical books.
What's one life lesson, or what's one lesson that life taught you the hard way, Baba?
You have to be dignified, and you have to stand on, always look to standing on the right side of history. You always have to look to doing the right thing. And when I say the right thing, there's many interpretations of that. You have to, whatever you do, it has to not harm the struggle or discredit the struggle.
What's a belief you had when you were young? Let's say in your teens or 20s that you no longer have.
Jesus Christ. I was religious at one time until organized religion started showing me how hypocritical it is. What I respect today are the clergies that are involved in revolutionary struggle. If you're short of that, keep it away from me. The absence of years, experiences when you're young, there's very little to infer to. Um, I can say that it was easy at the time to take things for granted. What was around me, you take it for granted, But as you get older, you you get to learn and grasp the idea that everything comes to an end, that things have their limitations, and that you have a relationship, whether you like it or not. You have a relationship to the objective material world, and that relationship, uh, calls for obligation to it. Are you going to just observe and not give a crap about what goes on, or are you going to observe and try and change it? And that is the idea that develops with aging. You know, the value of responding uh, constructively to the negative things that occur around you.
What would you say is the best advice anyone in the movement ever gave you, and who gave it to you?
Well, I can mention quite a number of people. Although him and I were in different directions politically, I will always be grateful to Felipe Luciano. Uh, he instilled courage and told me never be afraid to fight whatever is wrong. Always, even if you're scared, there's nothing wrong with being scared, but fear goes away once you throw the first punch. And he was right. He was right. You know, I mean, there was others like a communist. He was white too. Sam Marcy. Who also nurtured and contributed to my art by always telling me, always struggle, always fight to preserve, to maintain, your revolutionary dignity, and apply that to your art. I mean, there were so many. I have to also mention Iris Morales. Iris Morales, who was Minister of Education in the Young Lords, whom I still have contact with today. There were many things that I learned about life from her, which she made the connection to politics. For example, we were educated in the Young Lords about feminism, women's oppression, by making the comparison and the intricacies that connect racism to women's oppression. And I'm not talking about white feminism. In this country, white feminism can be quite reactionary, as Harriet Tubman so eloquently put it. She placed it in the context of all of the different forms of bourgeois ideology, which come from the same place, and that we cannot combat one without combating the other.
What is one habit you think every young activist or community organizer should develop immediately if they can?
Study history. One of the weaknesses that I find in activists today is that they're very, very, one of their greatest deficiencies is being able to make the connections between my struggle and your struggle based on history. In the U.S., there's a deficiency amongst activists to learn and understand so-called American history, which is fundamentally Black history. Okay, there's even a deficiency amongst American historians. Right, that's right. I said it. There's a deficiency amongst American historians to understand American history.
Give us a funny, surprising, or unforgettable moment from your activist days that you don't mind sharing, obviously.
Well, when I was doing security for Sylvia Rivera. Sylvia Rivera was the leader of the Stonewall Rebellion, one of the leaders. She came under the wing of the Young Lords. I was uh, I was assigned to do security on her because she was getting a number of death threats, and it was an education for me because I was on duty to protect Sylvia Rivera for a week. It's when a lot of taboos, a lot of prejudices on my part towards LGBTQ people withered, and because I had them. At first, it was funny, it was uncomfortable, and so forth. But it was assigned to me, and I took every assignment like a soldier. And from that experience, you open up and you know are introduced to a new realm in the universe, and that's what happened to me, you know. And I always I always refer to that when it was like you know a peculiar situation, and my job was to put my life on the line if harm came to Sylvia Rivera. And I should mention why that was the situation. And I rotated with other young lawyers for the same thing. Um, Sylvia Rivera was at the Tombs Detention Center, and she witnessed one of the guards beating up an inmate. Sylvia Rivera, you know, was let go. Uh, you know, she got bailed out, and the next thing was that she was receiving death threats from corrections officers and cops. But she was attracted to the young Lord. She came to the People's Church, told us our story, etc., etc. We became friends, meaning the organization and her, and we put her under our protection. What was funny about it was that it was like I was a new kid on the block on that question. And today, I say to all the homophobes that happen to be black and brown, you got no business being that. You got no business partaking in the perpetuation of any form of oppression.
Who do you feel was the most underrated or overlooked person in the movement?
Oh man, you're talking about a lot of people there. Sometimes you know we adapt the same dispositions that the boss would have towards his workers. You know, we have to. You know, the only thing I can say about that question is that we all have to learn to appreciate and respect one another, because there is a universe to learn from every individual. Never underestimate what another human being can teach you. You know, there's so much to learn from everyone. We all exist under a different fingerprint, and we are all every individual human being uh, is a history of experiences. I know that people tend sometimes to when they don't know someone to underestimate them, and I like to encourage folks, before you shun anyone, learn who the hell you're shunning. Okay, learn who the hell you're shunning, because you may be cheating yourself out of some very valuable information. You know, I treasure having learned so much from the people that you least expected. I have learned from drug dealers. I have learned from drug addicts. I have learned from welfare mothers. I have learned from fellow prisoners. I have learned from scholars. Okay, that's right, some scholars. I have learned from different kinds of people, who today, all of those different kinds of people make Carlito. How Carlito thinks, and how Carlito paints, and how Carlito fights.
I like that, Baba. That's a kind of speaking to be some humility in the movement. Okay. Now, Everybody thinks the Young Lords, Black Panthers, you guys are serious all the time. You had the braids, the leather, you patrolling. What did you guys do for fun, Baba?
We party, man. We dance salsa. Okay, we smoke weed. we 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 have fun with our families. I mean, we were humans. We were an oppressed people, and we knew that our strength was having us.
Could you tell me, if you wouldn't mind, Baba, because a story you shared, I don't know if you believe it should go in the public sphere, about a certain very popular brother in the movement coming into the office. You, you're not recognizing the person. I thought that was kind of cool. If you don't mind, if you think it's appropriate.
It was Trap Brown, okay, who, the brother, passed away in the past 2 weeks. May his soul rest in peace. He came into the office in East Harlem on Madison Avenue and 111th Street, and we didn't know who he was. And so he very innocently went into the back of the office. So we surrounded him. And we patted him down. We didn't know who he was. And when we realized that who we were patting down and we were like, confronting, we were scared. We were, feeling bad. He was enjoying it. He said, all right, right on. Okay, he was enjoying it. He was enjoying the fact that we were defending our turf. He was enjoying the fact that we were revolutionaries and behaving as such. Okay, he was enjoying the fact that he saw in us that we were no punks. Somebody was going to come into our office. They better ID themselves, because we were going to have that same attitude towards the pigs if they were to come into the office. Okay, so he was enjoying it. It was something. That we experienced it. And I cherish that moment because I learned from it also. I felt vindicated when he was like expressing approval for what we were doing to him.
I'm curious to know, 50 years from now, what type of world are you imagining for black people, brown people, or let's say all people, however you want to frame that. But what type of world do you see? Do you envision?
Let me see. I'm 73 now. 50 years from now, I am putting my money on that we will have socialist revolution in this country. A socialist revolution that will finally win the emancipation of the African American nation. Finally, independence for Puerto Rico. Finally, retribution and reparations for indigenous people, for the African American people, for all oppressed people. A free Palestine, okay? A free Latin America. Venezuela no longer in danger of being invaded. I mean, the return of Mexican territory to Mexico. I mean, I can go on. That is what my hopes, that is what my dreams are, of a world that I may not see 50 years from now.
That's excellent, Baba. And the last question, man, I'm gonna let you go. You are no longer held hostage by Harlem Liberation School.
I do not mind it. I have great admiration for Harlem Liberation School. I want you to know that. I think you're doing some really dope work and necessary work. As I mentioned before, we have to get creative in how we educate our people, because the stack is set up against us. Okay, our books are being banned. Schools are being closed. Curriculums are being destroyed. So when people get creative with education, you got my fullest support. And that's why I fully support Harlem Liberation School.
Many, many thanks. That means an awful lot coming from you. It really does. Let us now go 100 years from now. The people of that time are going through a virtual museum, I imagine, where a virtual museum where there's holograms of different people, almost like in Star Wars, and the person is talking and talking about what they did or the movement. How would you want yourself when people are bringing up the name of Baba Carlito Rovira? How would you want people to speak of you or your contribution or legacy?
Well, I was a human being with many faults, with many mistakes made, um, who had an inkling to do what was right. And to me, I measure what is correct from incorrect based on, will it contribute or stifle the liberation of our people? And I want to be remembered for, being an artist, but a revolutionary artist. I want to be remembered as the proud Puerto Rican that I am, but one that always stood in solidarity and identified with those of other nationalities who also strove for liberation as I did. So, to cut a long story short, I want to be remembered as a revolutionary.